great big.
big,
I would
so.
like to see that one or have
Okay.
that one someday.
Okay,
You know.
I'll do that for you.
But I wanted to see who they look like.
But they were older.
Yeah.
So she looked a lot like
Her picture.
like
full.
Okay. Anka's
Yeah.
picture, that age, sort
Yeah.
of
It'd be
50,
fun to-
60-ish.
They didn't take as many pictures years ago either. For one thing, they didn't have those. Had
But they
those-
took nice pictures.
Yeah, when they
You
were.
know, that was the one thing. There were so many. Family portraits was such a
Yeah.
big thing
Yeah.
back then.
Well, and family was everything too. You know, they
Yeah.
were really. Cora was.
Except your mother and father didn't ever. You never had a family.
Picture.
There's
Not
no
till
family.
Dad was died. Till
There's-
Dad died, we had one at the funeral.
Right, but no
Official one.
official portrait by
Yeah.
going in and having it taken.
No, I don't know why.
You know,
Isaac
which is
and
really
Al-
strange because I mean Ole and Christy, I mean they have
Family.
several of those family pictures, and then they have the the formal portraits of
I don't
the
know
boys.
how that happened. I don't know how it
You know.
happened. And then they didn't. Isaac and Annie had one that we hadn't even seen, and they showed at Annie's funeral, all of them, and they were all still alive. And we had never seen it before. They didn't have any made to pass to the relatives. They
Yeah.
just kept one. So, but anyway, we didn't. That's
Yeah,
right. And then
which
at
is
the
too bad.
funeral, oh, it was.
That would have been nice.
Oh,
to-
that would have been nice.
It's just like that one of Ole and all
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had one before Larry died. And then on the way home, Larry said, we should have taken one of just the two of us. We just didn't think of it that.
Yeah.
But then we got two of us at the kids' weddings. So we got about three of them from the weddings. But I wish we'd had more.
Yeah.
I wish we'd had a family picture. Oh, wait a minute. In the wedding book, we got that one picture. I think everyone was there at Betty's wedding. I'll get the book. I
Of-
think.
I have it in here.
Would you have the wedding one of that one? That was like, maybe Norma was, yeah, she was, had to be on it.
Of
Betty's-
yeah.
So we did-
Of Betty's wedding with the yeah.
I think that was
Yeah.
all of us. Are you sure it was all of us?
You were all there,
Okay,
Yeah.
Levon,
and
Jeannie,
and your mother
Oh.
looks
so thin.
thin,
She had
and
high blood pressure then,
Yeah.
and she was not the big family type.
and your
mom. She was-
and Grandpa looked upset
Yeah,
that he was there, or
Yeah,
that Betty
yeah.
was getting married or something. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
but he was not. But by the time he
Oh,
got to
Dad,
your
you know what
wedding,
Dad said to me
he was.
one
It looks like he was happy. He was finally,
getting
accepting
toward the
these-
end of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said to me once, Pa, oh, if Betty hadn't got married, she would have so much money, because they thought the money she made teaching was. They weren't too crazy about having her get married. But Betty and Vaughn got married younger than Norma or I. Well, of course, Janie got married real young.
Actually, I was wondering about that because I was looking at him, and I'm sort of, in my mind, Mom got married first, and then Betty, and then Levon, and then
No.
you. But Betty looks
Janie
pretty
was married
young.
before me, because she was really young.
Yeah.
Formal with white shotguns, like Orvin said. Oh, he was so great. He had such a sense of humor sometimes that he was really funny sometimes. He really-
So did Betty get married before Mom?
Yeah, I'm quite sure she was married before your mother. Let me think now. Yes, because when Norma was a maid of honor at Betty's,
I mean, Mom got married when she was 21, I think.
I think when Norma came and was maid of honor for Betty's, I don't think she was married, but can I be sure? Levon might remember that better. Or we'll have
Because
some
there's no
date.
dates for any of that.
I don't know if there's dates on that. or
I
not.
could find. I could
See,
find
Norma
out
had a
when.
suit wedding, so it's
Yeah.
Betty and when I thought Norma got married after Betty.
The only thing that's odd about that is then why wouldn't she? I always figured that she never got a church wedding because she was first. But
No,
if
that
Betty
was
had
it,
already,
was 'cause she
if Betty,
was-
if
it-
Betty had already gotten a church wedding, it seems strange that Mom wouldn't have.
No, she was already gone and in nurses training and
Oh
a
yeah,
whole different
yeah.
life. Yeah,
Well,
she
yeah,
lived
but
in
still,
the cities. Yeah.
still coming back. I
No, but
would.
Norma didn't want that.
Really?
No, she didn't like that kind of thing. She really wouldn't. I don't have to have that much attention. Betty had 3 weddings, and she made a big deal of each one. That night, I said the last one, my God. And Ma said, I'm disgusted with Betty. She said visiting her in the rest home. She didn't want her to get married again, then she'd got more attention, I suppose. But Bob was really
Oh, yeah,
nice. He
yeah,
was
nice.
really nice for her. But I never would have had a wedding. She had a groom supper and everything. You couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it. And she had Arnie walk her down the aisle. At that age, she's just a nut. But she had no kids, you know, so she had time for all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Oh, yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But I think she's really feels left out sometimes. I
Yeah.
know she does. I always felt too bad about her. Yeah, she was married to Chris 20 years about, or 25, and 20 to Howard. And, you know, she
Yeah.
had quite long marriages
Oh
with
yeah.
each
I
one.
mean, she was married for more than 50 years.
Yeah. She
It's
was
just to
married almost her
different
whole
different
life.
people.
Yeah.
That's,
Something, isn't it?
yeah.
It's really different. And that, like, Myrtle and Florence have both been married and divorced. Of course, they didn't want to talk about that too much. Even Aunt Cora wouldn't mention that. They had been married before. They were married to Hagans, I think, before. So Florence had one son who was a Hagan, but you never heard much about him. But then at the funeral we met him. Before then,
Yeah.
never did. Well, he went with his wife's side, I suppose. And Emma was kind of eccentric in her own way.
So how about the? I don't want to. I should get out of
I don't have a thing to do unless you do.
No, I don't have anything to do.
No, I
I'm
mean, I don't have
retired,
anything I
yeah.
have to do.
Did you ever have much to do with the Hauge family? You know,
Well,
there was only the
Yeah, well, there was.
the old folks
Yeah.
buried there, but there isn't any other Hauges.
I don't know about the Huggies that much, except.
So were they not? They
All I
didn't
know
stay
is
around.
Grandma Mundall, or Aunt Carrie Mundall,
Right.
was a Hauga and was my grandma's sister.
Right.
And they were next door to us on the farm.
Right.
So we saw them, but I don't remember much about the Huggies, but I know.
Because supposedly they were big landowners.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Which that's why I
Yeah,
went
and
back and
don't-
I looked to see if there was other graves, and there is no other.
So the Huggies must have lived someplace else.
No.
And like they'd call it Cora's 40, you know, Cora
Yeah,
had a
right.
40, and that was a good land. That was a shame that got sold. Well, that always bothered me. But, you know, you felt like that was a home place. And then when they had a big reunion in Frost, they didn't notify any of us. So there was nothing about us in the reunion, and it was really strange.
Yeah.
And they had been one of the first people in Faribault County, too.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, something with wells, too. Grandpa, there was something with wells. But if they'd hung on to that, that could have been a big thing, if, you
Yeah,
know, if they'd
yeah.
really liked farming, because
Yeah.
it was good land and good.
Like I said, it was just I haven't looked into the Hauge side at all.
I hope you do, that would be fun.
But-
That was Grandma's side.
Right, but it just
We wouldn't be
sort
able-
of struck me as odd that there wasn't anything just sort of obvious
Because
right
usually
there.
it's the mother's side that they go to so much, you know?
Mhm.
And here it was mostly Valdals, but then
Yeah.
we still went to the Berg side for.
I did
like-
I did find out where the Hauges are from
Where?
in Norway. I know.
did,
yeah,
really?
Yeah,
What area then?
they're from Hauge. It's just like you know, remember I told you
They
Valdal.
name 'em?
Valdal.
There was a
the,
village.
the name of Valdal was not a village; it's a farm, or
Yeah.
actually they call them communes.
And they spelled it VAL, did they?
It-
D-A-L. Spelled it different.
They're spelled about 5 different ways.
Yeah.
But it's not an HL. I don't know where the HL came,
I don't either,
because everything that I saw had either AL or OL at the end.
but maybe Grandpa went that far at least to leave that, but see, the rest all changed their names to Dahl. That was crazy.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
don't know.
But now Tom Dahl, and like some of them we knew who were related, and Tricia, the person she married, they know somebody who wanted to talk to me because they're kind of related too. Maybe someday I'll find out that and look her
Well,
up.
there's the Christopher that went to Freeborn County, in the Albert Lee area.
Chris Dahl.
No, well, yeah. Ole's brother, Chris. I mean, he's the one that had 17 kids,
Wow, yeah.
and they're all up in that Albert Lee area. So I mean, I'm sure there's a million.
Yeah, there was a Joyce Dahl, I knew she
Relatives
was
that-
related, and then when I came to nursing school, a girl next to me said, "Are you related to him? We have a coach that's Paul Dahl. He must have taken over." I said, "Never heard of him," but they're very likely related.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny to, and we have
But
like.
but the Hauge thing is neat because the farm that's called Hauge is actually at the end of this fjord
Oh, really?
where the Valdos. So it's not the same little town
But they-
area,
but they
but
were-
it's like 30 miles away,
But
and
now-
they both ended up in the same.
Yeah.
part
But
of
now
Minnesota.
Grandma didn't come from Norway. It was just Grandpa, wasn't it?
She was
I thought she did not.
She was born in the United States.
Yeah, okay, I thought.
But I think she was born on the way
Really?
here. I think
You
she
read about
she was the one that she was born in a covered wagon
Oh,
when they were coming from Michigan over to here. But her parents and several of her brothers and sisters were born there, and then she was born after they arrived in the United States.
But a lot of hobbies came over then, so you should be able to maybe track them some way.
You should be. Oh yeah, yeah.
So
It's just
they would be Grandma Waldo's side of the family, the Hauger.
right.
And the Mundell.
Christie's.
And then they say we're related to the Mundell by marriage because Carrie Hauger married
Carrie married Hans.
Hans Mundell.
Right.
That was a funny name too, yeah. Yeah, that is really interesting. Now when all of our kids are growing up, they won't all be all American because, you know, nobody will have come from a different place. But it'd be fun to really go there and spend time there.
Oh,
But
definitely.
Andy gave me some Norway tapes to, you know, learn Norwegian.
Oh.
I couldn't make head or tail out of it. But by then I didn't have my hearing aids. I couldn't even hear them right. And I just couldn't. You'd have to go to a class.
It is
Tough.
such a shame that you guys
That
were
they
not taught
Yeah.
German and Norwegian.
Oh, we would have had three. And then
It would have been so natural for you to pick that
Yeah.
up
Oh,
because
yeah.
it would have been in the household.
Yeah, yeah. But they spoke really clear English, Dad and them.
Yeah, but they
But
knew
even-
Norwegian.
Yeah, but they knew it so well, you don't lose it, do you? I guess
No.
you don't.
Well, no, not if
Could
you.
have been worse. It could have been French or Italian. I guess in college they'd say, oh, French was really a hard course. I wonder if Norwegian would be in. I don't like the German language.
I think German, or I think any of the Scandinavian languages are probably pretty difficult because they're not based as much
On
as
the alphabet, like
yeah,
us,
yeah,
or-
yeah.
But then you just think about the Vietnamese in them. When you hear them go, when I was guarding in banquet, the Vietnamese came. They'd come out talking to each other, chomp chomp. This ugly language, I think. A kid coming behind and said to me, "I understand every word." It was just so funny. But they would talk real loud too, and then it was chomp. And the women were always kind of bossy to the men. I think they were chewing them out, and that is a funny.
I had when I was a medical student. The kidney transplant program was just getting really started, and it was a big deal. And they brought in a kidney doctor, nephrologist, who was probably the top in the country. But he was from Norway.
Oh.
And he was very, very formal, and you sort of intimidated by this guy. And then he would open his mouth and talk. And he had this real sing-song Norwegian accent.
Oh,
You almost started laughing at him because
really?
because it was almost a caricature of
Yeah.
what you think of as a Norwegian, and it was so hard to understand what he was saying because it was just.
They have certain ways, like I had a German neighbor in Shakopee too, and she said, "I wash the dishes now and go by my mother." They always, you won't go to, they'd go by their mother.
Yeah.
They had different. But stuff will just slip out. I was talking to Joey once, and my neighbor's over, told me something. I said, "Liga," and that means liar, but I didn't even think I said that. And she said, "Oh, you have some German," but I said, "Yeah, some of these things come automatically out of your mouth from hearing your mother."
Yeah.
And they had all kinds of things they said to us, like if you stuck out your tongue, the devil danced on it. You know, oh, they had some old sayings, you know.
Yeah.
And I can remember asking Mom, "Where do babies come from?" When I was little, and Mom said, "Oh, the doctor brings them in a black bag, in that black bag." They never told us anything. Could have been born under a rock. You know.
Yeah.
They had, or the thing with fruit always got me as I grew older. You be sure to wash it. Black hands may have picked them, like black people were just. Oh, the old generation, the one that are really prejudiced against
Everybody.
African Americans still.
Well, yeah.
A lot of people are.
They're prejudiced against everybody that was different.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
just like what I was saying. When we
If you were
visited-
Swedish, that you were different, and
Yeah. But you'd think Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, they'd all be kind of compatible.
you'd think, but
They're not.
They're not. No.
Denmark has, I always think of them in those steamy rooms.
Saunas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sauna, let's see, my one brother-in-law married a girl from up by Tower, and she was used to that from that area.
Well, it was
Yeah.
my father was from Duluth,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and he was, you know, his family was Swedish, and up there the prejudice was against the Finlanders,
Oh,
you know.
yeah. And they'd call them Finlanders, just
Yeah,
the way they talk.
But I mean, just they're as almost identical to the Swedes, you know,
Yeah.
and yet.
Yeah, just like Ann Cora saying after we talked, you know, I told you that I guess in the rest home, we we're just visiting with this lady, and as she walked away, Cora said, was she Norwegian? An old lady like that thinking of that, just like if she wasn't, well, that. And like they liked Larry, when Cora lived in that shabby house in Wells, there's something to be fixed. If I send Larry, he could come right in, because he was all Norwegian, you
Mhm.
know, his both mother and dad. But when Diane came in, her husband was, I don't know what he was. Well, he was a Mormon, really. I think she married a Mormon who did go to her Lutheran church. What was his name? Diane. And anyway, what she did when he came over is hand a note out the door. She didn't let him in the house. So funny. They were so proud of that Norwegian thing, and they kind of like that at Luther College too, where I went, you know, there were a lot of Norwegian people there. It just was funny, and they've got Norwegian groups, you know, here around here and stuff. I don't know what they call them, but it's kind of silly now. We're all about the same now.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, it must have been incredibly hard for Grandma, for your mother, marrying into.
Oh no, they didn't like it.
Oh, well,
No.
yeah, no, I know they didn't like it, but just can you
Yeah.
imagine? Because she was what, 16,
Oh, she was so young.
and to have all of these
I asked Aunt Laura
strict.
about that, and I said, I bet it was hard, Ma and Annie, because you know they were German and they were Norwegian, so set in their ways. She said, oh, they took a lot. So I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Mom never said a bad thing about her. They never said a bad thing about Grandma Baldo and them. But usually they talked about some of the sisters, like Mary they liked. But they never hardly mentioned Grandma. I know she was very rigid. She was very rigid and stern. Even her pictures were stern.
Oh yeah.
And Dad said when they worked, they had to give all the money they made working to Grandpa. But I always felt like saying, yes, but they gave you land. But I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
He was kind of complaining,
Yeah.
you know, just like, it was really different. And it really was. And they were very uneducated. And the Bergs had a way different lifestyle, you know. They
In what
didn't
way?
really go to church, Grandma and Grandpa Bergen, but they were very religious.
Okay.
We'd hear Grandpa praying out loud at night. He always prayed.
Well,
out
they
loud.
belonged to that funny.
Baptist?
Well,
They didn't really belong to a church, though. They never
well,
did.
but there is.
Leaning toward Baptist, though.
I don't know what it is, but the church in Germany
Yeah, I don't know about
is
different.
different. And I asked Levon about that, and she said that same church is in Buffalo Center.
Oh, that
And the
Reformed,
same-
they call
that-
it Reformed Church.
Right,
Dutch
right,
Reformed.
right.
Yeah, yeah. That's-
Um,
but they didn't really go to church, but they didn't believe in movies and people smoking or drinking. They had their rules, but I wonder how far they went to school. They had to go to school some in Germany. I just often wondered.
Not really.
They were
you know?
not the educated side that the Valdos were the teachers. So of course they thought they were better than Annie and Jerry, you know, I'm sure. But basically they were decent. Aunt Ida was, see, they were living in the house that Ida and them's dad and them built. So when Ida and them would come over, she was always snooping. One time I actually saw her,
Ida would be snooping around. Yeah.
look behind the piano. We always talked about how Ida peeked behind the piano. I don't know what she wanted to find out.
Find some dust.
She was rigid. She was rigid. But she was kind of nice too, really, in her own way. When LaDonna got married, he looked older than LaDonna, but he wasn't. And Annie was telling me, Ida said to her, but Anna, LaDonna shouldn't have married such an older man. And then Annie said to me afterward, I should have said, and of course she didn't think of it, that Judith shouldn't have married a divorced man, because her daughter married. And here Ida only had the 2 kids, and that was like the ideal family. Well, then when Judith got married, she had 7 kids. Oh, we just whooped and hollered. We thought that was so neat. And Orvis had 5, the boy.
Okay.
They envied us because we had big families. They
Yeah.
didn't like that being alone. They were so alone. you know, it's just
So, just Ida and Ole lived,
by Bryceland.
well,
By
lived right next to the cemetery right there.
Yeah, in the
Yep.
church, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And Emma, she lived in Bryceland sometimes. Levon went and stayed with her once they lived in Bryceland. And then in Wells, I don't know how long she lived there. Vaughn might remember more of that stuff. But Florence and Myrtle stayed close by, but Donald and Floyd, you know, of Emma's kids were gone. I think Floyd was a career army or something. And Donald, I don't know what he did. He lived by your folks once in Bloomington, and they helped him a lot, babysat him. And then all at once he moved and never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Norma always wondered about that. They helped him watch their kids. And I don't know if she ever told you about that, but they had about 3 kids. And now the wife may be still living someplace. Oh, maybe not. She'd be too old. But they'd have children, so there'd be a whole bunch of. There's a whole bunch of cousins we don't know. That's for sure. You know.
But I was thinking about that because when I read about a lot of the, like when Sievert and Melina came over and Chris and and Ole. I mean, they all of them lived right up in that area, right around the North.
North Blewett. Some of them did.
Right, they did, and but then they started to move away.
Yeah.
But
because it wasn't far to go to visit, you know, relatives, but they often came to our house. You know? Yeah.
But Ingeborg lived in that house
with Ida.
that Ida lived.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Ingeborg's house first, and Ida was.
I think she lived there till she died.
Right, but Ingeborg's sister also lived
Close
around there.
Yeah, and she adopted somebody else.
She adopted Ole's brother.
Yeah, the brother.
The 2 brothers were given up by their father.
Because he couldn't watch them.
Right.
I know, wasn't that sad?
But then the 2 sisters
did
that didn't have neither of them had children, adopted each of the 2 boys.
That was good anyway then.
Yeah, but I was wondering where, because I looked through the cemetery when I came down to visit.
Maybe they're buried.
Betty.
Did you ever look in Bryson Cemetery? Keister's got.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't look in it, but I have a listing of everybody that's buried in the Bryceland Lutheran Cemetery.
How about Keister? I wonder if they'd be buried there.
Well, I didn't look there. Yeah. But the other thing that has me confused, and supposedly Sievert is buried in the North Blue Earth.
You know, I haven't looked in the
But there is no grave for him there. No. And he supposedly went, after Melina died, he went and lived with one of his sons, Anders, who was in Freeborn County. So I'm wondering if he's actually buried up there.
Yeah, well, that's another relative. No, my cousin in California, their kids named one of their kids Anders, and they're kind of keeping some of the old names in there. Yeah, but there aren't many Idas. People still don't go for Ida, a name, but and Emma, some though. Emma Jo,
Emma's coming back.
And Martha's coming back. Yeah. Abigail. But I don't think Pearl and Mabel will ever come back, and I hope not. I just think those names are kind of ugly. Like Ma's middle name is Owl. Geraldine Owl. Yeah. And Annie's did she have a middle name? I don't think so. Anna. Well, we called her Anka lots of times, too. Yeah, that was a German.
I think I saw it someplace, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Something to look up again. That's what it is so confusing to look up this stuff because
there's no records.
Well, there's records, but they're records with different names. Yeah. They all have different names, and they change their names all the time.
Just think of all that we don't know. That's what gets me. Yeah. Like all those dolls, I'd love to know about all those families. It'd be fun to just see everybody together, to see who they look like. Like Tricia has one son who looks just about exactly like her brother, really, and has a lot of his actions. What you inherit is really. Mm-hmm. And it was a good brother too, and the kid is just like that. Paul was always where he made friends so fast. He was charismatic, they say, got along. So, and Mac is just the same way. Yeah. He's just the same way. Just really strange. And Coleman now he's got the Bushlock face, but he's got the Larson height. They all outgrew their dads. They're over 6 foot, like my kids. But
Mhm.
he has a bush-like face, but not Matt.
Huh.
And the girls kind of look like Trisha. And Trisha walks like Mom. I see her walk sometimes. She swings one arm like Mom. Mom kind of walks, swinging one arm. So
Okay.
it's such a kick out of it. It's just funny what you notice. I don't think Linda now reminds me a little bit of Larry's mom. She had more round eyes. She's a deep dimple in her chin, like Grandma Joy had.
Hmm.
And so does Paul. Two of them had kind of look alike. That it's interesting how none of them look exactly alike. That's what makes it kind of